Fan going like that?
Yeah, right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the SoCal Prep Report. Richard Strand along with Bob Gibson. Glad you joined us tonight. What's going on with our equipment tonight, Bob?
A little breeze or something.
It's going everywhere.
Going on.
Anyways, a lot to talk about. A lot going on this week. A lot of sports merging right now.
Landing airplanes.
It's like the NBA is going into the postseason, and Major League Baseball's in its first or second week or whatever. And with high school, it's pretty much the same. You've got esports starting their playoffs next week.
That's huge.
First ever here in Southern California, anywhere in the country, anywhere. And next year it's going to be everywhere. So we're going to talk about that.
Speaking of social media right at the bottom, just check that out.
We're supposed to have brackets for that, but we don't have those brackets, Bob.
We'll get them.
We don't have them
maybe
right
next week.
We'll
talk about it.
Should have had them.
All right.
But we're going to talk about it. Going to have interviews coming from there. It's interesting, man. I'm so looking forward to doing it. You know something?
It's so much. Oh, the esports thing is just blowing up.
I will miss not
the place.
going out and walking on a field of grass, you know, like Spellwine, dig that girl. But it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But what's going to happen right now is we're going to talk about some baseball and some softball. Where do you want to go, Bob?
Let's go to the baseball rankings.
Let's go to the baseball rankings right now. Take a look at this week, what's been going on in the CIF and City section.
Our crack staff here at the SoCal Prep Report has been working hard.
That's the baseball top 10 right there, Bob?
That is our baseball top 10 for this week. If you are on social media, you got a sneak peek on it just a couple of days ago on our Twitter feed. And our Twitter feed blew up, by the way, when we posted this because everybody had something to say. Everybody had something to say.
La Mirada is really number 2.
La Mirada is the number 2
out of
team
here.
in Southern California.
No.
Don't sleep on La Mirada. La Mirada is a,
who have they beaten that gives them the number 2 ranking? I want to know.
Pitching staff, you didn't see him at the Boris Classic, did you?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay. That pitching staff, La Mirada, they are dialed in. Harvard Westlake definitely has a case to maybe be above that, but you know what? I agree with the ladies this week. I think La Mirada is that number 2.
Don't be blaming Allison for this one. I know better. I can see your handprint all over this. All right.
Jay Sarah's won 8 games in a row, and that gets them unranked last week, all the way up to number 5 this week. See that? See how quickly it can happen? Wait, somebody on Twitter say, how did Jay Sarah, how come come on, they won the Boris tournament, but they were unranked last week. They can't go any higher than 5. Come on, we can't anoint them the Trinity League
People put a lot of
champions
stock
yet.
in these tournaments, and I'm going to tell you, okay, you see some good competition, but, you know, just because you win the tournament doesn't make you the best team. You know, you're the best team that week for that tournament. Just all this stuff's day to day.
El Toro's right there. Of course, Servite from the Trinity still in there, and Arcadia rounding out that top 10. South Hills too. South Hills had kind of a rough go there in the Boris, but that's still a really good baseball team right there. So there's our baseball top 10, and guys, that's going to change a little bit towards the middle and the bottom, I think a little bit, but I think that Huntington Beach, Harvard West, La Mirada, those teams, Orange Lutheran are going to be right there. We'll see what happens in the Trinity League. That's going to have a big determination on some of these teams moving up and moving down here. As far as Olu, Jay Sarah, and Servite. We'll see. Modern Day's 3-10 on the season.
That's
How crazy is that?
You know, you can't win every year.
Well,
Sometimes you can't get all the recruits, man. You can only get so many.
That is
right?
true. That is true.
All right, there's a look. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how about softball? Let's move on to the softball top 10.
Move on. I'm not stopping you.
No, here we go. You see the Orange Lutheran here, number 1. No, everybody else, again, people blew up, Los Alamitos. Yeah, all right. Southern section has Los Alamitos number 1. We didn't see it quite that way. We're not just agreeing with everything the Southern section tells you over there.
It's not the Southern section. Los Alamitos is number 1 just about on everybody's national charts, my brother.
I understand.
Including mine.
Well, not on ours.
They're defeated.
We think Orange Lutheran is just a touch above that right now. That's not taking anything away from Los Alamitos.
Bob, I'm gonna have
that could switch.
No,
that could switch next week. You talk to the ladies, man. They put this together.
Listen, I'm going to have to step in and start taking over some of this stuff because you know I know.
By the way, we got more Twitter follows out of the Orange Lutheran team than anybody. So shout out to the Orange Lutheran softball team for all their Twitter follows, by the way.
Orange Lutheran, by the way, is number 4 nationally. Number 4 nationally. Los Alamitos number 1 nationally. And nationally, Norco's number 5.
National.
Listen,
this is the only poll that counts right here, the SoCal Prep Report poll.
Brother, I'm just trying
this
to tell
top
you
10 is the only one that counts. Norco, you got Gar, Etowanda in Division 2, ML King out of Division 2 as well sneaks into our top 10 there. Modern Day kind of hanging out. Chino Hills is having a strong season, and lot of debate. I know that in the war room over there, they were talking who's the number 10 team this week. They had 18 different teams under consideration. Santa Margarita won out in the end. Number 10 this week.
Is that it, Bob?
That speaks for itself right there. Speaks for itself.
So some big news this week. South Hills coach, what is it, Zambrano? Christiana Zambrano.
Softball, right?
Yeah, softball, man. They let this poor lady go. This young lady here is a great coach. You know, she came in. This was her first year as a head coach. Her team's 10-4, 10-4-1, whatever. They're doing well. They're in first place in their league. And all of a sudden, Bob, at this juncture of the season, why do you let your head coach go? Why? Nobody wants to talk about it. And the JV coach is now the head coach. And there's all kinds of theories out there. But I just want to give Christiana Zambrana some heads up. Arizona State, former softballer. Seems like a great coach, had her kids buying in. No complaints from the team. So, Bob, what's going on as a parent? Is this another parent meddling situation?
I'll tell you, there must be something in the water this week because just yesterday it came out that Crean Lutheran High School, who just won a state championship.
Yeah, I read that too, man.
Fired their head coach. He's basketball coach. You win a state championship and you tell your head basketball coach, sorry, you're not fitting into the program. What we have dialed in for our program, you're not fitting in. The guy just won a state title for you. And nobody can find anything that's... the rumor mill isn't running around on anything. So, it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but we do know the parents rule the roost. I know of a story earlier this year where a baseball coach got shown the door. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
It's out of control, Bob.
The parents are just running wild, and unfortunately, these administrative people are going, okay, they're yielding to the parents instead of saying, you know what, we're going to back our coaches. We've talked about it way too many times on here.
Now, Bob, I've coached just about everything there is to coach, and as far as high schools go, it's just a mess now. Back in the day, everything was merit-based, man. If you were good, you played. If people didn't put in time with you and you didn't have the skills coming up, you got behind. And I can't blame the coaches for wanting to put the best players on the field. And I think parents back in the day, if they could see it, but they wouldn't force it. Everybody calls the principal and complains. I used to hear this stuff all the time. How come my kid ain't playing? Well, because it's competitive, Once you get to high school, even junior, it's competitive. The best players play, and that's how it is in society. The problem is everybody gets a trophy, Bob. Everybody. Like I've told you before, you think your kid should get a trophy every time.
No, not at all.
You don't teach them anything.
Right. Nothing's accomplished
short,
by that.
You don't know.
Right.
You don't know how to problem solve. You don't know how to deal with it. It's only a game, man. You don't have to call the principal and complain and get good people fired. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but we sure do see a lot of that. We've seen a lot of that this year. I just wish that these coaches would be allowed to coach because you do lose. Jim Beckert is a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
The guy he used to coach at Westlake, coach at Oaks Christian. Parents meddling got him to leave. He had to resign. He was either resign or be fired because somebody didn't get enough playing time. That is so wrong, so wrong. And I would be personally ashamed if my mom or dad had come to my coach and complained about my playing time if I was subpar.
Look, the days, the Trinity League is a whole different animal, and sort of there's a few other leagues that are that way, but, wins and losses really mean something because there's a lot of money on the line. The coaches in those leagues making some pretty good coin. But we're talking about neighborhood schools now where, when you and I went to school, the same guy was the coach for 10, 15 years, and he left only because, maybe I got another job somewhere or something, right? That's the only reason guys left. Now, even at the neighborhood schools, right, parents, they pick up the phone, hey, my kid's not playing. I got the next Lou Gehrig I'm trying to coach here and get to the big leagues. Every parent thinks they got the next big superstar.
Every parent has the next big superstar. They got the next Magic Johnson. They got the next Babe Ruth. They've got the next big thing. But don't force it on listen, if your kid's that good, your kid will play.
Oh,
Coaches lose their jobs when their teams don't win. I understand a lot of them are like that, but if you're good enough, you'll play it. Coach isn't holding your kid back as a personal grudge. But again, we've seen so much of this year, and I didn't realize how big a scale it was, but it's getting pretty big now. And I don't blame coaches for retiring.
And like I said,
taking that pension.
I know of a story earlier this year where it happened too, and it just makes me sick to my stomach that the people in charge won't back their coaches. Back your coaches, guys. Come on, these are the guys that you've hired to do this job. They're out there doing the job. Let them do it. If a parent comes in and says, my kid, hey, tell your kid to work harder. Tell the kid to earn his way in.
Yeah.
Not because the parent thinks he should be there. Trust your coaches. They know what they're doing out there. They're on the field and on the courts day in and day out. Trust them.
Absolutely, man. Those guys put in a lot of time, too.
All
right, Bob,
too much time.
Get off your soapbox now.
All right, I'm off.
We're moving on. We're going to take a look at the city section. What's been going on with Randy? Matter of fact, Randy just left, right?
Yeah, he was just here. This is just freshly minted, this segment right here.
Man. Randy. What's up?
We got
our girls' city section soccer player of the year from El Camino Real is Sierra Withers. She led the Conquistadors to the city title. Great defensive player, and she even scored 4 goals. On the boys' side, it was Andy Garcia, another product of El Camino High School. Andy scored 24 goals from his forward position and had 16 assists. Let's turn our attention to the Battle of the Valley. It was the 22nd edition. It was played at Sierra Canyon in Chatsworth over the weekend. The girls' game was won by the West, 85-59. Kiana Hamilton Fisher out of El Camino Real, where else? That's what we're talking about today, was terrific for the West with 21 points and 14 rebounds. Also for the West, Emily Mitchell played, and she's the great player from Granada Hills. She just announced she's going to play at Santa Cruz, so she's announced where she's going to college. On the boys' side, the West wins its 6th straight game. They score 155 points and beat the East by 25, 155-130. Kihei Clark of Taft pours in 21 points, and he was terrific. He's on his way to Virginia. By the way, that was the highest scoring game in the history of the Battle of the Valley. Eddie Egan, another player from El Camino Real who was supposed to play in the Battle of the Valley, has announced he's going to Montana. He skipped the game because he was on a recruiting trip to go to Montana, and Montana signed him, so he'll play for the Grizzlies. Devonair Dutrave of Birmingham, their all-city 6'5" guard, commits to Arizona, and Fairfax star Jamal Hartwell commits to George Mason. And oh, by the way, Derek Taylor, the great coach at Taft High School, had such a wonderful year with the Toreadors, led them to the West Valley League Championship. This weekend will be the head coach for the city in the Collision All-Star Games. That's a great honor for Eric Taylor. All right, let's move ahead and talk about some other guys who are doing well, who may have an extra year of eligibility. Let's talk about Kirk Smith of Fairfax. He's a great shot blocker. He thinks he can get a 5th year. He led the Lions into the city finals. Kaylin Allen, the city player of the year, is also trying to get an extra season at Westchester. Now, technically, both these players were seniors last year. If they get an extra year of eligibility, either one of them, and of course that's going to be John Aguirre, the commissioner's decision, then either Fairfax or Westchester, or perhaps both, could be 2 of the top teams, not only in the city section, but both the Comets and the Lions could be 2 of the top teams in the state of California. Obviously, Jordan Brinson and Jeremiah Turley return as well for Westchester, so if Allen comes back, they will be dominant. In high school baseball in the city section, it was a great week for the Marine League. Carson knocked off powerful Birmingham 3-2, and remember, in many people's minds, the Patriots are considered the favorite to win the city championship. And Banning shuts out Sylmar 7-0. Albert Arredondo throws a no-hitter, strikes out 7. He was supported by Gabe Gonzalez, who cracked a grand slam. Big win for Chatsworth in softball, 1-0 over El Camino Real. Ava Justman outduels Ashley Murphy. Ruby Salzman's home run won it. That was the difference in the game in the 5th. In boys volleyball, Chatsworth with a huge victory over Granada Hills in the West Valley. They won it 15-13 in the 5th set. Nick Oliger had 12 kills for the winners. The Highlanders did bounce back, and they had a win in the West Valley over El Camino Real as Kerry Osborne had 25 kills in a 4-set victory. And finally, congratulations to Kaylin Lee of Eagle Rock High. She is the city's Female Scholar Athlete of the Year. She led the Eagles, get this, to undefeated seasons in the Northern League in both volleyball and basketball, and she obviously got it done in the classroom. Rich, Bob, and of course Mo, back to you guys.
Thank you, Randy. And again, a good comprehensive report on the city section.
A lot going on.
Huh?
There's a ton going on in the city section. Imagine if those 2 kids get a 5th year of eligibility back in. Man, the city section basketball is just going to blow up next year. So it's going to be good anyway, but
yeah,
you get those 2 kids back in, that will really be something. So we'll see.
All right, let's move on to some football news. Where this week, Bob, I think Servite is tired of being near the cellar in that Trinity League. So the first thing they do is they go out and get the guy that took them to the promised land last time, which was Troy Thomas.
Right.
So Troy Thomas is back. So, but that's not the big thing. The big thing was Darnell Arsenault, the former head coach of St. Louis High School in Honolulu, Hawaii, is going to be the offensive coordinator now at Servite. What can I tell you about Arsenault, Bob? You interviewed him this week.
I had a chance to talk to him.
Yeah, why is he here, man? What's the deal with this guy?
Very impressed. Obviously, what he was able to do, St. Louis and Hawaii, and I didn't realize at the time just how big football is in Hawaii. I mean, I know how big it is now, but the amount. What I'm talking about is the amount of schools in Hawaii. You think of Hawaii as a very small place, and it is, but boy, he's telling me the number of high schools in Hawaii that are playing top-notch football is just crazy out there. So the fact that he comes from St. Louis, which is arguably the top program in the state of Hawaii. Hey, by the way, this guy coached Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy winner, current starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. So this guy knows something or two.
It's not his fault about Mariota, but yeah, he did. He did run through his program.
This is a guy that did not have a relationship with Troy Thomas prior, but they found him, and they're confident that this guy's going to come in and be able to put in that kind of an offense. Of course, he's going to look for a mobile quarterback like he had with Mariota, and we'll see if he gets somebody in that mold. Maybe it'll take a year to get that kind of guy in. But you're right, Servite means business, because to get this guy to move from Hawaii to Southern California, that took a few dollars, right? That took a few dollars to get him to, I'm sure, to come in and do that, to make that big move here. Former coach at Occidental College as well over here. So he knows California a little bit as well, but the chance to come back here and be a part of Servite, he said it really piqued his interest, and he's raring to go.
So you see, Hawaii's got like 1.5 million people living over there, probably now 1.8 million, but like 1.2 million live in Honolulu. They live on Oahu. And that's where St. Louis High is, and there's no doubt. Some of the top schools decide they're going to make the trek out there and beat up on the Hawaiians, and it doesn't happen because St. Louis is good. Right. They're that good.
We know they're nationally ranked every year.
In interest of fairness, Arsenault was only there 3 years, but he did very well. He's 26-7. I think he had a couple. Of course, he went to 2 state championship games, and I think he had a national title. I'm not sure if it's him, but St. Louis is always in the national hunt.
They're right there.
Always in the national picture. So I think this is nothing but good for Servite. It just depends. Can him and Troy Thomas mesh and make it happen?
I think we will, because
Eagles are big at this level, Bob.
Well, yeah, Eagles are very big at this level. You're exactly right. But I think we've already seen the Troy Thomas that has come back to Servite is a little bit different than Troy Thomas, right? And kind of said, you know what, maybe I've learned a few things along the way that I can bring with me back now in this second opportunity at Servite. And I just think that, this is the perfect match now to bring Troy Thomas back. He took them to their glory days, and they want to do it again, and to bring in an offensive mind like Arsenault in to help make this happen. You're right. Servite doesn't want to just be the third or fourth team thought of in this league. They want to be up there with Mater Dei and Bosco.
Interesting. Bob, it looks like you're in water. Your seat keeps going off and on. I like that.
Right.
It's great.
Is it?
It's too late. The shot's done.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
not happening right now. Okay, well, like I said, Bob, I agree. I think Servite needs to do something.
Yeah.
Mater Dei is on top right now. They've been on top for a while in the Trinity, and that thing, runs in cycles. Servite was there at one time.
Oh, yeah.
They were the Cats Meow, and Orange Lutheran was up there for a while.
Yes, they were.
Jay Sarah's been rumored, but they haven't made it yet. I don't know what they're waiting for, man. It's your turn.
Right.
Did you get it?
Poor Jay Sarah. Now,
the latest new school in this league.
Now, I like what they've done. I like what Jay Sarah's done the last couple of years. I think they're building something big. Don't forget, Jay Sarah got when the transfers all started happening, Chris Street, who was a kid at Mater Dei, who was just a beast over there, getting ready to just burst onto the scene there. Okay, so they got Sean Dollars transferred in to Mater Dei. He's a nationally ranked running back. Street says, yeah, maybe I'm better off somewhere else. He went to Jay Sarah. So, keep that name in mind. Chris Street, running back at Jay Sarah. I think he's going to run wild over there for the Lions.
Interesting, Bob.
Very interesting. He's going to have a good year over there.
All right, staying in the Trinity, let's talk about Mater Dei now. Okay, we're going to talk in particular about JT Daniels. Bob, I thought we'd be seeing JT now, but apparently from what I'm reading, he's 11 credits shy of graduation. So USC won't let him enroll because of those 11 credits. And that's not a knock on JT. Think about it. This kid's only a junior,
He's a junior,
man.
Right.
He could graduate after this year legally and move on. So they're not going to be able to see, USC won't be able to see him until the fall, Bob, which could be a problem because I'm going to tell you right now, as we've been reading, Clay Helton's got 3 quarterbacks in this camp, and they're all terrible. According to Helton, he has no confidence in the current crop. It makes him want to, and I quote, puke when he thinks about what he has in Matt Fink, who's a sophomore. He got redshirt freshman Jack Sears, and he's got Thomas Holden from Pacific Palisades, but I guess they're all a hot mess for him, and he's thinking it's all going to go down to Daniels. That's a lot of pressure, man.
Well, and that is. It was always going to be a lot to ask JT Daniels to come in as a high school junior and take over a Division I program like USC. That was going to be a tall order.
But he's already at a Division I program at Mater Dei.
I hear you there, but the speed of the game, right? And is he going to have that the offensive line he had at Mater Dei might be better than what he's going to have at USC. I mean, you have to play in front of that offensive line.
I'm not going to argue
it's
with
crazy.
you, man,
It's not a knock on the kids there, but what a line he had in front of him. He's not going to see that protection all the time, and the speed of the game once you get to that next level, I mean, it just makes all the difference. So to ask a kid to move up right there, right away, that's a tall order. So, you know, does he have a hot mess at quarterback? Maybe. Or is he just trying to motivate the kids he has now to get in there and do a little better? But whose fault is it if he has no quarterbacks there at USC? You named 3 guys there. Whose fault is that if he's got no quarterback for one of the top D1 programs in the nation?
It's Clay Helton's fault.
That's his fault. That's his fault. That's Clay Helton's fault for not getting a good quarterback in his program.
I would have just paid Darnell more to stay, basically.
Well,
I mean, I could say that. I mean, I'm not saying they do that, but I'm just saying I would have make me God at USC for a day, and I would have given him whatever the NFL contracts were today.
And Sam Darnold may be the top pick in the draft. We don't know. That's yet to be determined.
Doesn't matter. I still would have paid him. He's worth at least $1 million, at least.
You think he's taking a pay cut going to the NFL?
He'd have come back this year. He'd generate $45 million for the football program, just like that. Why not pay him? Everybody else, Cam Newton got paid. Everybody else got paid. How come he can't get paid?
I have no idea.
Cam Newton was getting shopped around, and this guy's every bit as good as Cam Newton. Might even be better.
How dare you? Things don't work that way in college football.
Oh, please, Bob. You know what? Let's move on. All right, so we've been talking about the CTE thing and the way football numbers are down, and now the legislators are into it. They're trying to ban tackle football everywhere for kids 12 and under. Unbelievable, Bob.
Well, you know,
that's the safest age to play football. Nobody hits.
Look, everything's a knee-jerk reaction, as we see in the media today. You know, we have school shootings, and everybody wants to ban all the guns, right? So I mean, that's another topic for another show. But right, so you know, kids are getting a CTE. You know, pro players are getting CTE. So let's ban tackle football. I mean,
Bob,
everything. And my point is, everything's a knee-jerk reaction these days. Everything. And social media doesn't help.
These guys do not run fast enough. They do not move quick enough to give somebody a concussion. You really can't.
Not at this level.
Not at this age, man. You're the most flexible you're ever going to be. You can get trucked and just get up. Nothing hurts. I've never seen a kid seriously injured at a Pop Warner or Junior All-American game. I really haven't seen it.
You know, even at the high school level, you don't see a lot of concussions at the high school level. You don't. Yeah, sure, you see some bad ones every now and then. You see a kid get popped. It can happen, but
that's in any sport, Bob.
You're right, but these kids are not moving fast enough yet. Now, you get to that college level, I think that's where it can begin. It's certainly at the professional level.
Well, I just want to say
it's crazy there.
This much I'll say about it, Bob. I think you're right. It is a knee-jerk reaction. That's how it is now. Everybody's got a grandstand on everything. Any association in sports, we got a grandstand and get reelected, all right? It's for our own good. We're a politician. Here's the deal. You're going to have kids now that are going to come into high school not knowing a thing, and that's even more dangerous than playing against kids. You're going to ban these kids. I mean, it's just a lot more dangerous when you go in there with no skills. They're going to throw you in. By the time you're a sophomore and playing varsity, those kids are going to have a lot on you, man. You're going to get beat up. I don't agree with it. And again, you have legislators taking away your free choice, your ability to choose.
I will put myself out there I played 1 year of high school football. I'd never played football in my life. Freshman year, a bunch of my buddies said, let's go play football. I said, okay, let's go play football. And they put me on the offensive line. I had no idea what I was doing.
Exactly.
And I had a coaching staff who, they were okay. But, you know, they didn't
really... You turned into a Patrick, brother. Right. You were a boulder in a stream, my brother.
You know what I was? I was a target for the kids who had played Pop Warner football. And you don't think I got worked over by them? Absolutely, I did. So,
yes, you did.
So, you know what? You're exactly right. It pays to have kids who know what they're doing. And then when they get to high school, they already know how to play the game.
Yeah, so it's going to work both ways. I just don't think you should legislate this kind of thing out. You have to let the parents decide, people decide for themselves. This game's been going on for a long time now. And granted, at the next level, we do have to change the way people do things. But if you teach the kids right, the way I was taught, keep your head up, always keep your head up. Don't use your helmet as a weapon. Back then we couldn't because they would break your nose. Now it fits like a glove. But I think if you're taught right young, you won't do it. It's all learned behavior. It's all emulating the guys on top of you, the guys ahead of you, and emulating your heroes. And apparently, it's got to change. I mean, obviously, it is changing.
Well, of course, it's the old saying, young and dumb, and you think nothing can destruct you. You think you're indestructible when you're young. Of course, everybody thinks that, but it's not till you get to the age of the Mike Websters and these other guys, and you go, gosh, I wish I would have known this stuff back when I was just ramming my head into everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and those are the tough stories now that we have to deal with all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, moving on. Let's go from football now to high school hockey. As we mentioned a couple weeks back, Rancho Santa Margarita High School, believe it or not, pardon me, won the high school national championship.
Yes, they did.
And Bob, I didn't even know teams were playing hockey out here. I'll be honest. I heard about it. It was a myth to me. It was, you know, I don't know. It's just weird that they were doing it. I thought it was just guys messing around. But apparently we have 40 high schools in Southern California play hockey. Santa Margarita wins the championship. And guess what? Not one player off the national championship team was named to the USA Hockey all high school team. And we're talking first, second, third team. Not one within 3 teams, Bob. And then you got Tame Solani's kid in there. I mean, you got guys that can play, but they couldn't get a sniff, and I think that's just wrong.
Well, I
when you have 10 kids from Minnesota on the team.
Well, and let's face it, you know, there's still going to be some anti-California backlash. I know, talking to the coaches, myself, you know, they say California's come a long way, and it has. You know, there's been some respect given to the California teams now, but look, there's still some backlash against California teams saying, come on, these kids are going to come out here and play hockey against Minnesota, where hockey is God, and the Northeast, you know, the Boston area and up there where hockey is just religion up there. No, they still not. It's going to be hard to get there. It's going to take a few more years and a few more chances for these California teams. And there it is right there. There's the game-winning goal by Solani to win the national championship. What?
You sure that's not a soccer game?
Right, yeah, I know, right?
Go. Yeah, this guy's nuts,
that's the call goal. But you know, Santa Margarita scored the game-tying goal with 2 seconds to go. Overtime, they got the game winners. So congratulations to them. California hockey is coming up light speed, but it's still going to take a few years before I think nationally they get some of that respect.
Well, Bob, we're going to get into this a little more next year, but again, I cannot, this is the prejudice of it all, man. Once I get a hold of Reg Miller, man, I'm going to rail him because, yeah, seriously,
yeah,
his town had 5 guys.
He's got some explaining to do.
You know?
See, Reg is a Minnesotan now. I don't even think he's a California anymore.
That's what I'm talking about, because he's in Minnesota. Chump, man, chump. All right, so we talked. Let's go into wrestling now, and this is a terrible story, though, Bob. I hate to end on a downer like this, but it is what it is. Just to lesson everybody out there. We're going to teach you something right now. Bergen Catholic High School in New Jersey. Okay, this is the #1 team of the nation in terms of wrestling. Man, they got hit with a lawsuit this week from a dad of a wrestler. Apparently, his kid was being harassed, bullied by a coach. Some of the allegations I heard I read 3 different articles and watched 2 news reports on this thing, and man, it's heinous. And how can the principal and everybody else not know what's been alleged going on? I think they did know. 2.5 years ago, Bergen had to pay out $1.9 million, Bob, for some sex abuse cases that went on. And here we are again. What I got to say is, at least the kids, this isn't a case of a father who thinks his kid's better than everybody. No, not at all. Just the stuff that was going on, Bob. Yeah, I mean I would have tripped out too. And I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I'm pretty open to everything. But nah, not what was going on. I'm not down with it if the allegations are true. That's why we're not using anybody's name here. We're just telling you about the story. Google it. Bergen Catholic High, New Jersey. Story's terrible, and I'm going to follow this one because it needs to be followed. These stories need to be told. Kids need to know and be aware of what's going on, man, because like you said earlier, Bob, they're everywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's the bigger story here is right. These stories are just popping up all the time now, and it's so sad to see these things happening. And
you can't even enjoy your high school, man.
You got to be on guard at all times. You never know what's going on in a high school setting these days,
I guess. I don't know. The response I read on several articles that the school, the Archdiocese gave, was just a terrible. They should have just said no comment. Should have just left it at that. Instead, the kid is really not that good, and that's why they kicked him off the team and all this other stuff, Bob. So it was just a hot mess.
That's just these are just not good stories when they pop up.
It's nutty, and especially when you're a high-profile school like that, you should know better, man. Get everybody under control. You can win without all these other shenanigans. Anyways, Bob, we're being rushed out of here, man.
I know we got to wrap it, right? Social media there at the bottom. I told you the Twitter's blowing up, the Instagram, all that. Get on there, jump in, get in the conversation.
All right.
What's going on?
On behalf of Bob Gibson and the cast and crew here, I'm Richard Stray saying so long from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. Join us next week, Mo, or we'll be back right here.
Oh, Mo, right here.
Slapping them on the head. Good night, everybody.